When it comes to the Horsemen feud, do you remember, because I don't, the very first time you referenced JJ and the Horsemen in a promo, was it in the studio? How did the crowd react?
I remember, I can't remember whether it was in the studio or on syndication, but obviously Dusty told me just plant a little seed, and it was something along the lines of how many teams that we had beaten. We'd beaten everybody, and the only team we hadn't beaten is the Horsemen, because how can you beat somebody when you never get a match with them? And then people kind of, whoa, because normally we've always been complimentary to all the Horsemen and the other heels, and me and JJ had always been buddy as managers and everything. So that kind of got the people perked up a little bit. And then I think JJ went out and made a snide little comment about, the Midnight being the U.S. Tag Team Champions, and they should stay with that level of competition instead of trying to talk about the big boys. And then off we go. And it was a match they hadn't seen before. So that was, a big attraction. It was the two really teams that had been presented as the top teams over that whole previous, 3 or 4 year period in Crockett Promotions, with the exception of the Road Warriors. They never had seen a match. The promos were off the chart with me and JJ and everybody at Tully and Arn. Everybody, well, not a lot of people, but we told them. And it was believable because it was true that Arn and Bobby were best friends in real life, and the fans had seen them, traveling together in some cases. So it all worked. And then, of course, we got those 6 weeks of enormous paychecks, and then Tully and Arn left, and we're, oh, fuck.
I just, for the first time in a long time, I saw it on YouTube and I watched it the night you guys in Philadelphia won the tag team titles.
That is available, by the way, on the Midnight Express Wrestling Rarities DVD at jimcornette.com. But go ahead.
The crowd pop is so remarkable. What did you guys think in that moment? Did you expect the Philly crowd to go that crazy for you guys? Because they always did like Tully and Arn also. Did you expect it? What were your thoughts in that moment?
Well, no, actually, I expected it for a couple reasons, because they liked all of us. The Philly is the first place the Midnight got popular as baby faces. Even when we were heels, we were starting to be baby faces. Then we switched baby face, and they didn't like it that much. They liked us better when we were heels, because we were, as baby faces, we were getting trounced a lot. But I knew that if we won the World Tag Team title from Tully and Arn after a great match in Philadelphia in front of a crowd that size, and the people realized that they were seeing something that they pretty much knew they weren't supposed to see, that they would blow like crazy. What I didn't count on was that it'd get better, because, we did the double pin thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was, did Tully have Bobby, but Stan had Arn?
It was something like that. And again,
something like that.
In terms of context, fans of the NWA had been kind of used to getting screwed on finishes for a little while. So that's what they're expecting, you would think.
Well, and the double referee thing. But it was a double pin, one of the Horsemen up and one of the Midnight up. And 1, 2, 3, boom. And the second referee comes in, and people think it's going to fucking be another fuck finish. And then, so they popped for the 1, 2, 3 when the Midnight jumped up. They were like, yay! But when both referees raised the Midnight's hand, finally, it was a huge pop. So it was like big pop followed by, oh shit, bigger pop.
It was a pop, and then as soon as you guys actually held the belts, as soon as the belts were handed to you, they realized, holy shit, this is real. This is really happening.
And then it got louder as farther away from the ring we got. When we left, farther away from the ring we got, they were louder because they're like, shit, they're getting away with it. So I knew it was going to be a big pop just from where we were and what the match was going to be like, but I didn't know it was going to just, people were going to go bonkers. And of course, we took that huge momentum to that match. The match was never on TV. People never saw that. That's a handheld video camera from the crowd, because they didn't have a camera there to tape it that night, because Tully and Arn gave their notice, and Dusty said, all right, we're putting the belt on the Midnight. And Tully and Arn said that if we hadn't been working with them that night, they would have had to change it, because we were the only ones they were going to drop it to. But the people never saw it on TV. We show up on TV and talk about it, and we're over like Rover for about 3 weeks until then the Road Warriors pummel us so that they can turn heel, which didn't work. And here we go.
that match to this day, I find so disturbing. I've never seen a strong heel tag team look as sympathetic as the Midnight Express did in that moment in that match. Of course, the Road Warriors are turning heel at that point, but
yeah,
I feel bad for you guys every time I watch.
Well, that was the idea. You know, it was a drubbing, and those poor kids, they did the best they could. I mean, even me, I looked halfway fucking nice the whole thing when I'm trying to get Bobby not to go back to the ring because he's injured and I know he'll be further abused, but he has to save his partner Stan, and he shoves me down and goes in the ring and gets his head knocked off. And then they abuse us afterwards. But that was what we were going for. We were told we want to go out. The Road Warriors are going to turn heel. They're going to do this in dominant fashion. They're going to jump you guys and never give you a breath. But we got to tell this story. You guys have to be sympathetic. And it was New Orleans, a downtown municipal auditorium where people had seen, you know, the birth of the Midnight Express. We say you guys have to be sympathetic so the people will be mad at them. And that's what we did. But then, of course, the people still, and I wasn't knocking the Road Warriors when I said that didn't work because they were too over. Nobody wanted to boo the Road Warriors.
They tried as hard as they could to make the Road Warriors heel. They turned on Sting. Of course, they stabbed Dusty in the eye. They
stabbed Dusty in the eye.
Hey, back to the match with Arn and Tully. It was last minute. How last minute was it? When did you guys actually find out what was going down? And also, obviously, Dusty was there, but was that the only finish? Did anyone have any notes and say we want to do it differently? Or was it just that was the finish that was given to you?
No, it was. Well, first of all, we did an autograph session because the office had taken notice that we were kind of half-ass over in Philly more than other places. And I think we'd even done an appearance with Joel Goodhart there already. So they had us advertised as signing autographs from 7 to 8 or whatever, if showtime's 8 o'clock. And we were up front and had a pretty long line. There was a lot of people. So it was, I think, bell time when they cut it off. We went back upstairs to the locker rooms and they came to us and, well, Tully and Arn are just giving their notice and they're going to be dropping the belts to you guys tonight. What? Okay. All right. And there was no finish given. Tully and Arn came in and sat down with Bobby and Stan, and I and JJ were sitting there kibitzing, and they worked out how they were willing to drop the belts to us. That's the way it used to be done in the old days in a situation like that. Which is why, at that point, if Tully and Arn had just given notice, if Dusty had called any finish, he might have said, okay, fucking both the midnight pin, both Tully and Arn in the middle of it. No, it was a fucking double pin thing, so it could have gone either way. But the decision was given to the Midnight Express. Tully and Arn are going to be back in that town for the WWF in probably 2 months or whatever. So they stayed strong, and everybody was happy with the way it. No, in a case like that, the office does not usually dictate the finish. The office says, okay, we need you to do the job, then you get with so-and-so and work it out.
It's crazy to think that within a year and a half, the WWF got Bubba, Arn and Tully, Ron Garvin, Dusty Rhodes, and Barry Windham, who had all been champions, or, not Bubba, but, well, Bubba was UWF champion, I guess. They'd all been champions for Crockett, and within a year and a half, they're all working for Vince.
Well, but more importantly, Bubba had one of the biggest drawing programs with Hogan, besides probably for Orndorff, that he had during his first 80s run on top.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dusty did well, even though the polka dots thing is not fondly remembered by most people that knew Dusty. He did well. Almost everybody said probably Ronnie Garvin. Ronnie Garvin didn't do so good.
Well, and Wyndham, but that was
Wyndham didn't do too. Yeah.
So